everybody. We're going to go right over to the ladies for some fun opening announcements. Let's go over to Becky and Kristen. Hi, ladies.
Hello. Hey, I want to talk about just two things. One is birthday fundraisers on Facebook. And I don't know if we've ever talked much about these, but they're super easy to start. And you just go onto our Battlefield Addiction main page and you can start a birthday fundraiser. It's a way to get the word out about what we do to your friends, because it posts on your timeline and then you can invite friends to it too. And then your friends can donate to Battlefield instead of sending you a $10 card. So they're kind of fun. And the reason why I'm saying that this tonight is because I just looked this morning and Kim Silky, and I don't think she's on tonight, but she started one 5 hours ago and her goal was to raise $200. And so far she's raised $500. So I was like, wow. So it can go like wildfire. And we usually have a couple going all month. So it's kind of fun. And it's a great, easy way for you to spread the word about what we do and to raise a couple bucks for a Battlefield. If you have any questions on that, you can contact me and I can help walk you through it. It's super easy though. The other thing is employee matching programs. Just want to remind you guys that we have that. Costco matches, Boeing matches, Nordstrom, Microsoft, AT&T, Alaska Airlines. There's a lot of them that match. And if you don't know if your company matches, you can contact the HR department and I'm sure they can help you there. If you know one of the ones that I named, if you work for them, you can contact me. If you can't figure out how to donate, I have a couple spreadsheets on how to do them to a couple different places. So, and just today we got a check for $2,200, I think, from Boeing in matching funds, which is fantastic. And $550 from Nordstrom in matching gifts just yesterday. So it does really help. And it's awesome. And even retired people can turn theirs in, and then some of them I think will match half of that. So it's pretty awesome. And it's a great way to give the matching program. So if you have any questions on that, you can call me too.
Awesome. Thank you. It makes a big difference. Thanks so much. Thanks, Kristen. Okay, Becky.
Well, I get to talk about Jacob's Fund, and I'm floored. I'm completely floored. I mean, we are so close, you guys. I think our goal was $7,770. And right now, with including online donations, we're at 7,518. So close. And that's only for a week. And Bill and I were just talking while we were having dinner, and it's just it's so humbling, and it's so heartwarming how many of you, I mean, a lot of you are new and you're first time donors, and that you're willing to make this donation to help this family is just means so much. And then also, our long-term donors, many of them are monthly partners. You guys step up every time you are there for our Battlefield families. And that's the thing that, just means a lot to us, is that we know that, our Battlefield family is there for us, and we're all there for you. And we just want to thank anyone and everyone who's donated, and please share. We'd like to get beyond our goal. So keep it going. We got like another week, right?
Yes. Yes, we have a full week, and I'm going to put in the chat the link for anybody who might not have that. But if you haven't shared it yet, please share it with your friends, because it sure adds up. And a lot of people who have given are even beyond our Battlefield family that we know of. So keep spreading the word. There's the link. There's the Eckley family there on the screen too. And they send a huge thank you. They are very appreciative. So thank you, everybody, so very much. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
All right. Is that it for announcements, ladies? Okay, fabulous. Thank you. Thank you. One other thing before we go over to some comedy is a mom's group. So mom's group, the mob, Moms of Battlefields, but open to all ladies. So let me clarify, all ladies are invited to join us for our weekly coffee every Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. Let me actually mute the Wiggins there. Okay, there it is up on the screen, every Wednesday, 11 a.m. If you haven't joined us, you are welcome to join us any Wednesday, even if you usually work, but maybe you have a day off or something like that. You can pop in, you are in good hands and we welcome you. And it's just an hour that we get with each other every Wednesday to discuss the topic from the night before, get to know each other better, and definitely join us. If you need the link, you can reach out to me or Kristen or Becky for that link. And we hope you all can join us tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. So now let's go over to the not the basement crew. I need a good word. The crew. Over there in the new shop. Let's go over to Kyle. He is a manager over there at Rebuild Recovery, and he brings us our opening comedy every week. And Troy McCannon wants me to give you a shout out, Kyle. So a shout out from Troy. He says hello. I wanted to say hello before your funny jokes. So take it away, Kyle.
Yes, hi, Troy. I saw that. Okay, so my grandma is 90% Irish, so we call her Iris. You get it, Bundle? Yeah, Bundle.
Yeah, no H.
Yeah. You know, I can't believe that someone broke into my house and stole all my fruit. I mean, all my fruit. I'm peachless.
You need those sound effects back.
You need to learn it. You know.
We do need the sound effects back. Angela's given an emoji. Give an emoji. Everybody give your emojis. Our silent sound effects.
Okay, moving on. You know what people who are addicted to seaweed do? Addicted to seaweed?
What?
Sea kelp.
Sea kelp. Sea kelp. Oh God.
You know, I had to babysit my nephew Eli a few weeks ago, and as I was putting to bed, I was like, Eli, just so you know, you better not masturbate because it makes you blind. And he goes, Kyle, I'm over here. That's a Christian.
Christian spitting up her coffee.
Okay. You know, I'm very excited. My cloning experiment has finally paid off. I'm beside myself. My brother was supposed to be here. I've been so much perfect if he was sitting right here.
Oh, yeah.
That was the point of the joke. He's supposed to come, and I'm like, I'm beside myself.
Yeah.
This is not my brother.
Yeah.
Fellas, you know, I figured the most effective way to remember your girl's birthday, just forget it once. Tomorrow, I'm getting some new glasses. And after that, we'll see. You know what the two movies, Titanic and The Sixth Sense, have in common? I see dead people. This one's my favorite, absolute favorite. How do you sell a chicken to a deaf man? Hey, do you want to buy a chicken? You get it? You're yelling at him because he's deaf. So.
That's your absolute favorite?
Absolutely, yeah. I laughed so hard when I saw that one. I had to. It was fun. So the puppeteer who controls Kermit the Frog passed away. They asked Kermit to make a statement, and he said, I went to the doctor. This is a good one too. I went to the doctor. I said, Doc, my butt's been hurting a lot lately. The doctor said, well, where about? I'm like, right at the entrance. And he goes, well, Kyle, if you keep calling it entrance, it's not going to stop hurting.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. Hey, it was great to see baby B over there, Emily. Great. All right. All right. Let's move it on over to Art, and we're ready.
We've had a real healthy dose of addiction this week and the last couple of weeks. And I know a lot of families have also had it. And it's relentless. It's tough. It seems like it's gone away for a little while and it reoccurs and comes back. And I know right now there's a lot of families that need relief. And a lot of people ask me how I do it. And they ask me how I put up with it and how I am able to continue and live here, and been doing it for 11 years. And, you know, I think that it's compassion, but it's not the way that you think it's compassion. It's not the way that people really interpret compassion. And I have my own viewpoint of what compassion is. And it's not what anyone else may think it is, but it's not any doing compassion. And it's not something that I have and other people don't have. What it is it's a way that I see things. And I've learned this way to see things by my own experience as a human being and looking into it. And what I can tell you is that the way I'm able to do this is there's a particular thing that I wouldn't say believe in, but I operate from. And where I operate from is that there's two different things going on with you. Well, there's actually a you, and then there's your mind. And I operate from the position that people are not their mind. In fact, people do not have an entryway at all to operate their mind. So if I were to say to you, anyone on here, I would say, tell me where the control room is. Tell me how you find the control room to operate your mind. What do you do to operate your mind? Where are you in that? And if I can separate out you and your mind, I can now see something, and I can see it differently. And what I see is that human beings, there is something called choice, but the mind is doing that. The mind is choosing. The mind is choosing, and you are observing the choice that your mind makes. And you really are kind of out there observing all this, and you're in there. You're in your experience in there. Each one of us are in the experience. And I also want to say that from time to time, I forget this. But what allows me to go on is that I remember this. And I remember that a human mind that is making very poor choices, there's a you that's stuck with those choices. Not a you that's making those choices, but a you that's stuck with the results of those choices. And you're in your experience kind of stuck with the results of those choices. And many of those choices that your mind has made, you wish it didn't. In fact, you didn't have any alternative means of having your mind not make those. And so for me, it's a way of looking at human beings after the fact, and a way of looking at people that allows me instant compassion and instant forgiveness. Because I can now look at all the poor choices that my mind has made. And I can really equate pretty quickly to those times where my mind made poor choices and I had really no control. It just happened like that. Now, this is not to take responsibility off you. This is not to say, hey, whatever, this is it, and you didn't do anything, and there's not, what it is that when I'm teaching to people, I'm not going to stop teaching, but I want you to know that when I'm teaching to you or when I'm talking to you, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to your mind, trying to get at you, but between you and me is our minds. So between me teaching you something, it's got to go through your mind. So if you get it or don't get it, if you pick it up and use it or don't use it, where is the control to that? Very fortunate when our minds make good decisions. Very fortunate when our minds when our minds begin to operate from a place of improvement. Very fortunate when we evolve. Very fortunate. But that's all it is. It's very fortunate of the fact that my mind doesn't make poor choices when it pertains to drug and alcohol anymore. Very fortunate for me. But I'm not saying that I had much control over it. It was more what was happening in my life and how my life unfolded, the consequences of those choices, and my mind learning not to do that anymore because of the severe consequences. It didn't want to go through that anymore. And so it would be real easy. See, if anyone could just talk to you, people are teaching you to your mind. But if they were talking to you, and then I tell you to do something, and you're up here and you're watching your mind and you're seeing it, notice that it doesn't just instantly translate. It's not an instant download. Somebody just goes, here it is, do this and you'll be fine. Why can't you do that? So there's something else going on if you really look. If somebody tells you to read a book on how to be a millionaire, you want to be a millionaire. You're like, yeah, this sounds great. I would love to experience being a millionaire. Now your mind doesn't do it. Why? You want to be skinnier, but your mind doesn't allow it. You want to have more money, but your mind doesn't allow it. And you can't find the control room to make your mind do these things. It's really difficult. You want to be nicer to people, but your mind sometimes doesn't. You want to be less angry, but your mind sometimes doesn't do it. So I operate now. I'm not saying it's true or not. I'm not asking you to believe what I believe. I'm asking you to maybe take a glimpse at it and see that I'm not telling you what to believe or what to do. I'm telling you how I make it. I'm telling you that when somebody does something stupid, a lot of anger comes into my mind. But then a remembering comes in that the person didn't really want to do that. That the person actually, that I need to teach that my job is to teach that mind to actually do better. So now I just stay in my job. And I go, well, if their mind hasn't learned it yet, then I'm going to continue to do my job and try to teach that mind to do it. And that's how I stay in the game. And that's how I forgive. And that's how I have compassion. And it's also a reason I don't arrogantly tell you that you could just do what I do and you'll make it. Because I don't know if that's true. Your mind is different than my mind. Now, there's a thing that happens in the world of change that people just don't understand, and it proves my point. And what proves my point is that people don't change like a light switch. It don't work like that. So when any change from bad behavior, when bad behavior starts in your life, if you make a change, it'll all be done through this, what's called the stages of change. And what it looks like is, it starts out that we operate in our life from a place, when we first start doing bad behavior, we operate from a place called pre-contemplation. Our mind is in pre-contemplation. And in that place, we behave poorly, like a kid eating chocolate cake. So a kid eating chocolate cake doesn't think there's any consequences, loves chocolate cake, and is extremely happy when they're eating chocolate cake. All of you did drugs at some point, and there was no bad consequences, and you love drugs. Well, then that stage of change kind of goes away soon, and you move into what's called the contemplative state of change. And in contemplation, there starts becoming consequences to things, and our mind learns that there's consequences to that behavior, and our mind stops not liking it. So we start contemplating if we should change or not. We start contemplating, maybe this isn't the best thing for me. Maybe this cake's putting on too many pounds. Maybe there's too many repercussions to my behavior. And so that's the next stage our mind goes through. Now, if there was a you that controlled your mind, why would there be these stages? If there was a you, then I wouldn't be able to talk to all of you and tell you that you all went through these changes, that you all are in one of these stages right now. So right now I'm speaking to your mind, and you are up there listening. Yeah, understood that. But what you need to see is that the mind is doing what the mind does, and you are in there experiencing it. So the next stage of change is when we finally get fed up. We get to a point where we're done with the consequences, when we want to change, and there's this mind wanting to change, and it says, I need to change. It's called preparation. I got to do this different. Now, we all have gotten to, everyone in this room's got to that preparatory stage of change. Everyone's got there. That doesn't mean you make it. See, in contemplation, if you go back to the contemplative state of change, what occurs in that state of change? What is this magical thing that we have to do before we behave poorly? There's something the mind has to do before you behave poorly. It has to do it. If it doesn't do it, it can't behave poorly. And it's called rationalization. In the contemplative state of change, when you were in the pre-contemplative stage, you don't have to rationalize why you eat chocolate cake. You don't have to rationalize drug use. You just go use drugs. It's great. But when you get to contemplation, you have to start weighing the consequences and then rationalizing why it's okay this time. And so now the mind begins to rationalize why it's okay. Hey, I'm just going to do it once. I'm just going to go, and I'm not going to try this time. And so when we're in the contemplative state of change, the mind is this miraculous rationalization machine. If you call in sick to work, before a human being calls in sick to work, they have to rationalize, listen, I've went every day. I have sick leave. I got enough money. It's a great sunny day. My boss is a dick. Whatever has to happen first. Just see, if the mind cannot rationalize it, you can't do it. There is something to be said for the fact that human beings always buy their last pack of cigarettes. Why aren't cigarettes, which are smoked every day, sold in the way that toilet paper is sold? You see, and the reason is because everybody going to buy one pack a day because they're all going to quit. It's because they're all in the contemplative or preparatory stage of change. So the mind is in this preparatory stage of change. It's saying, I'm just going to go and buy my last pack today, quitting tomorrow. Instead of a wholesale, I'm going to buy a pallet of cigarettes, not quitting. I love smoking. Now with toilet paper, people buy a pallet because they know they're going to do it and they don't have to rationalize it. They don't have to do anything. They're going to go, I'm just trying to quit toilet paper. I'm going to buy one more roll. This is my last roll. They don't do that. And so understanding, from my understanding, and then we get to this stage called preparation where the mind's had enough. And then it goes one of two ways. Either you all jump into a program of action, your mind will go into action and start saying, this is what I do to achieve this change. This is the work that I'll have to do to achieve this change. And there's an action. So if you're all sitting here today and you're in what you call recovery, but you cannot name to me what your action is, then what's going to happen very shortly is you're going to go back to contemplation. So relapse happens when we decide, maybe it wasn't so bad. Maybe I can try it again. Maybe just one more time. And then instantly we're reminded, oh shit, consequences. Here it is again. Forgot all about this shit. My mind rationalized these consequences away. And then you're sitting there in the experience. And the way for me to have compassion is to separate out you from your mind. That's how I do it. So I'm able to say, listen, this person just hasn't gotten into action yet. They don't know what action to take. They don't know why they continue to do this. But they're in there and they're suffering. A human being that's suffering from obesity does not want to be obese. A human being that commits pedophilia does not want to be a pedophile. A human being that is a drug addict does not want to be a drug addict. And the frustration comes when we forget this. The frustration comes when we're angry at the person because we think they are their mind. When we should be angry at the mind instead of be angry at the spirit or the human, whatever we want to call it. And so for me, it's this thing of separating that out. And by the way, it's not that it's always separated out. It's that there's this burst of anger and frustration, but it's not long. It's not withheld. It's not resented. So now I'm not looking, now it's let go immediately because I remember, oh, they're not their mind. Their mind made this rationalization. Their mind made it seem okay. Their mind did this. Now what do I got to do? Then it gets me back into the position where I go teach to the mind. And whether the mind picks it up and understands it, anyone on here, whether you do what I say this week or not, I say it's not up to you. I say if you think that, and what happens with poor behavior is we evolve out of it. We start as human beings with all this bad behavior, just tons of it. We eat shitty, we yell at people, we're poor parents, whatever it is. We neglect, we aren't good in relationships, we're whatever we are. And the mind then goes through these stages of change with almost every bad behavior. And one by one, we go through these stages and the mind begins to improve. And some people are further along than others, and some people are behind others. And that's the viewpoint that I'm able to operate from. And if I can operate that from that viewpoint, there's an abundance of compassion and forgiveness, because I can see you in there. And I can see the results of your life that you're getting right now are not what you want. And you can't find the switch. You can't find the switch in there to just turn it on or turn it off, because change isn't a light switch. Change is an evolutionary process that happens in stages. And so I can look and I can see what stage this person is. Some people come to me in complete pre-contemplation or denial. They will not take responsibility for the consequences being anything that they had to do with drugs. Some people come to me in action, in total preparatory stage. God, I'm so glad I got here. Jaden got here in total preparation stage. He came here ready to change. There's no fight. No fight. It's beautiful. And now he's right into action. So that's a good thing. Some people don't just come like that. Some people come fighting, and I look at the stages. But the key to what I'm telling you right now is people are not their mind. In fact, we don't have this switch. That's why I know everyone gets really frustrated with me when I say I don't like goals, because the mind develops goals. And sometimes the mind doesn't achieve those goals. Sometimes the mind doesn't. And people don't talk about that.
Or even if they are, nothing is accomplished, even when you got to the goal.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Nothing has changed. No evolution has happened.
That's right. And it's not, and so this thing where people are acting as if they have control of their mind and other people don't. That's what I have a problem with. So if somebody on here has the control room located, let me know tonight. And when you tell me that you have the control room located, I want you to make sure you can tell me that you never make any poor choices anymore. Because no way, if you know the control room to your mind, no way would you make one bad choice ever. You wouldn't. No way would you decide I should mow the lawn on Sunday afternoon, but instead I'm going to lay here for 9 hours and watch Netflix if you had control over your mind. So you show me the control room and you tell me how you no longer ever make a bad decision. You show me that, I'll forget what I'm talking about. But I can have compassion for you. I can have compassion for anyone because I can understand this. Now, remember, there's an operating system that we all operate by that's kind of traditional. And we've learned it so long that what I'm telling you tonight isn't easily picked up. When somebody behaves poorly around you, you will be angry and you will just say, you did that. And this is a teaching tonight to your mind. So hopefully your mind learns that they didn't do that. Their mind did. And they wish they wouldn't have done it sometimes. And sometimes they don't wish they would have done it. But a lot of times they can't find the control room. And I don't know how to find the control room of choice. I don't know how. So I think people are great that don't make very many poor choices. I think you're awesome. Congratulations. But I don't think you're anything different than people that make a lot of bad choices. I just think they haven't had the same programming on your mind that you have. It's different. And so if I can see it that way, if I can see, yes, in my life, fortunately, somehow my mind makes way better choices than it used to. But I can't find where I did that. I can't find where I went in and fixed my own mind. Something did it. Something allows me to make better choices financially with my food today. Something makes me allowed not to do drugs anymore. But I can't tell you what I did.
Would you think it's like a result of consequences that you've had in your past preventing you from doing this? I
think change of bad behaviors is definitely correlated to the consequences we've experienced because of those bad behaviors. And I think that's something to be very suspicious of. And I think when people say, and I'm angry, this week I've got a lot of families. I just don't understand. I just don't get it. You know how many texts I've got this week? I just don't get why they would choose to do that. I don't get why they would keep doing this. I don't get why they would do this. I don't understand. Over and over all week. Like literally like 15 different families. And what I can say is they didn't choose to do it. They didn't have any other way. Their mind rationalized it. And if you've ever been in a position where you're facing a chocolate cake and you don't want to have chocolate cake, then you end up having chocolate cake. then you should be able to understand completely. It's just like that. You've ever in a position to, you ever thought I should always wear a condom with a partner having sex? And if you've ever been in the bedroom right before sex and not wore a condom, there it is. It's like that. That's how it happens. If you've ever missed work and not wanted to miss work, or been a kid and called in sick, or, flirted with somebody that you shouldn't be flirting with, or had feelings for somebody that you should at work that you shouldn't be talking to, or maybe everyone on here is perfect. So the thing about compassion is we aren't perfect. That doesn't mean I'm compassion like, let shit just happen and everyone should be. No. Here's what I think. I will teach to the mind, and I'll hope that mind will make better choices, because better choices results in a better society. And it's better that way. And having compassion for homeless people is dipshit material, really. Because if you really take a look, what I tell around here is any behavior that you're going to do, ask yourself one question: what if everyone did it? And right now, if you wanted to go be homeless and have your RV parked anywhere you want to park it, what if everyone did that? Society would literally collapse. So if you're doing a behavior that everyone can't do, but you think you're entitled to do it, you are an asshole. Now, I'm not saying people that are down on their luck homeless. I'm talking about people that say, I do it because I don't have to pay rent. I do it because I don't have responsibilities. I do it to live free. Well, the rest of us got to make up for you. And that sucks. And so what I'll do with that person to have compassion is teach to the mind and understand that there's a you in there. And when we do this to people, when we're talking to folks and we're doing what we're doing, we're just understanding that the you doesn't want the negative results that they're getting in their life. And that's compassion, and that's forgiveness. That doesn't mean I'm nice. That doesn't mean I'm a sweetheart all the time. That means I forgive by understanding this viewpoint, that people aren't their mind, that I can have compassion for you, and I can understand your situation, because I've been trapped in my experience making poor decisions. I've been trapped in there. And I didn't do anything to get out. Life got me out, which was very fortunate for me. But that doesn't mean I can now just tell you how to walk out of it and your mind's going to do it, because you're at a different stage. Now, it would be easily translated. Why would we ever go to it would be easy. If this wasn't true, if what I'm saying wasn't true, then every person that's ever went to a millionaire convention on how to be a millionaire should be a millionaire. Everyone that's ever went to a weight loss program should have lost all that weight. Everyone that's ever went to treatment should be sober. But there's a flaw in our way we're doing it. There's a flaw in our basic understanding that we do not have the control room to our mind. And if you do, I would say you're just an arrogant prick that is just very fortunate that things go your way now. And maybe you could have compassion for others and quit being offended at everybody's poor choices if you understood this. That doesn't mean that I am not sometimes offended at the mind's choices, that I don't rant and rave about how stupid somebody is. I do. I just never hold it. I forgive it, because my mind comes in, luckily, and remembers this. They didn't want those results. The intention behind what they're doing wasn't to fuck up their entire family. Their intention wasn't be back at square one, starting over again with 1 day sober. That would be crazy if that was their intention. You know, that would be insane. Somebody's just about to go do some drugs and they're like, man, I can't wait for this to ruin my life. This is so cool. And that's kind of the assumption that leads to people's anger. That somebody's sitting there going, I'm gonna really, really screw myself here. That I used to be in a McDonald's, and I was at the time newly sober, and life was good because my metabolism was very fast, and I could go eat McDonald's and have no effect on me. And I hadn't learned this information yet. And I love McDonald's. In fact, I like to go in, I like to get 2 cheeseburgers and a 6-piece McNugget and a big, the largest fry they got. And for me, I'm a professional at McDonald's. So what you do when you get the largest fry they got is you take the first one, you see if it's hot enough. If it's not, you hand it back and you get the hot ones. And then you put them on the tray, and you get the salt and ketchup, and you got it all. And the pickle on the cheeseburger, the pickle with the ketchup and that bite, it's a glorious bite because the ketchup's piled on a bit and it squirts into your mouth in that cheeseburger. You know what I'm talking about. And this was before they changed the formula, the breading for the nugget. Now the nugget formula is not what I like, but it's still acceptable in some way. So then I would be sitting in that McDonald's and I would be eating that meal, and I would see a person that was obese coming into McDonald's. And I would say to myself, what are they doing here? What's wrong with this person? Why is this person coming here? Until I became the obese person sitting there at the McDonald's and understanding that, I just hadn't had enough consequences from that food yet to push me to the action state of change. And now that I've got into action state of change with food, it's easier, but I can't tell you what I did. I can tell you that consequences made that happen. But there wasn't some point where I can now go, you need to start eating better like I do. It doesn't work that way. And I don't expect somebody that's not overweight and not experiencing any consequences to just start eating healthy. I don't expect that. In fact, it would be almost insane. Why would you switch to this bullshit I got to eat when you can eat what you want? So I wanted to give everyone a traditional addiction talk tonight. And I wanted to say, listen, we do understand it around here and we do get it. And I know you're all angry, and you're angry at your family members, and you're texting me and you can't believe it, but here's some relief. And it's not very good. It's not very good here for us to because now there's a danger in this, because now your mind might have a rationalization to use drugs again. Your mind might go, well, Art says I'm not my mind and my mind's doing this. No, that's not what we're doing here. It's not really going to work. It's comical. But instead, it gives other people that are looking at the situation kind of an understanding. Let me look at my own bad behavior and see why I can't stop it. See kind of all the mistakes that I've made. And maybe I can gain some understanding and look at someone else and go, wow, they're not their mind. We don't program ourselves. Our minds have all been programmed differently from our parents, our experiences, our consequences, our pleasure, our pain. And we're just in here. So tonight I'm trying to teach this to your mind, but hopefully giving you, a little relief. And you can kind of look over your mind and kind of see what I'm talking about. And maybe you can see that they call addiction a disease. And what the disease model stated was, it said that it's a human being's, my ability to rationalize a behavior regardless of consequences. And that's somebody that has it. So if we have somebody that has the disease of addiction, it's somebody that has the ability to rationalize drug use in the face of all the consequences that you've been faced with. So imagine the ability a human mind has to rationalize when you walk to the sink, go to brush your teeth, and the front 3 fall out, and you keep using. And that's what you have. Your mind has this ability to rationalize regardless of consequences. But that's no different than somebody that has the ability to rationalize eating McDonald's while their health is deteriorating. Or somebody else that has the ability to rationalize cheating on their wife when their family's falling apart. Or somebody else who has the ability to rationalize stealing from work when they're a criminal. Or somebody else that has the ability to rationalize yelling and screaming at people and abusing people. Or the ability to rationalize sexual abuse or anything. It's all a disease then. We all have a bad behavior disease. And it's our ability to rationalize whatever bad behavior we can't stop rationalizing.
Buying things.
Yeah, shopping. And so that's how you find compassion. That's how you find it. You realize that people aren't their mind. They're not. And people aren't making the decisions their mind are. Their mind is. And you can't tell them how to change their mind and make better decisions. You can't. You cannot write down what to do. Think about that. Anyone on here that thinks they make good decisions all the time, write it down, send it over to me and tell me how to do it. You won't be able to. This is what I do. No, it's what your mind does. You're very fortunate your mind does that. So there it is. There's the place that you find compassion. It's the place where you can get rid of I'm an arrogant person by nature. Really. My mind thinks it's better than everyone. It does. But this is the only antidote I have against it. Remembering that I'm not my mind either. And that people aren't their mind. And when I remember that, then it's just you and me, and I'm not my mind and you're not your mind, and we're equal. And you're in your experience and I'm in my experience. And who am I to, I know we're all suffering in this experience. And there it is. Now I'll live that way. I remember that way. And that's what lets me forgive. And that's what lets me allow. And that's what allows me to endure this job. But it's not all day living that way. You forget. People are just people and you're just mad at them and you don't separate it out. You just go, how could that asshole do that? But if you can't remember this, then you will resent that asshole for a long time. But if you remember it, you'll forgive. And if you'll remember it, you'll have compassion for it. People are not their mind. You're in there. You're a spirit. You're experiencing a human life. You've been given a mind. You've been given a body. And you aren't it. And when you die, you go. And you can look at somebody's body that's died and say, they're gone. Where'd they go? But the mind is there and the body's still left. But you're gone. My father lived after he died. He lived for an hour, but I knew the moment he left. And my mom called and she said, your dad? I said, no, Dad died an hour ago. I felt him leave. I was in the room. His body's there, his breathing, his mind was there. He was gone. In fact, my mother, when she died, she was gone a week before she died. I didn't see her for a week. Her body was there. Her mind was there. She was eating. She was operating. But my mom was gone. I never saw her for the last week. I could speak. There was brief times my mom came back. But it wasn't her. It was an angry, bitter thing that was dying. And I knew it. She was gone. There was no coming back. So I understand. Just think about it. You could be in a car with a body and a mind, and you can ask somebody, where are you at? And you can tell they're not there right now. Where are they? They're somewhere else. It's deep. Presence. You. But you aren't in this. You're in there. And so when we speak to people, hopefully we see that what we're talking about, it might go in your mind. You might understand it. You might not understand it, but you don't have any control of that. You might forget, you might remember, but again, you don't have any control of remembering and forgetting. It just happens. People say, I remember. The mind remembered something. Very fortunate. I forgot. You didn't forget, the mind did. You had no control over it. In fact, why would you ever forget if you have control over forgetting or remembering? That'd be the dumbest shit I ever heard. Just stop forgetting. Don't ever forget again. That is so stupid if you forget. That is the dumbest shit I would ever do is forget something.
That's how people go up on stage to give a speech.
Yeah.
And they forget.
Yeah. Forget the words to the national anthem. I forgot. That was stupid. That's the dumbest shit I ever see people do is forget. So if we're not in control of remembering and we're not in control of forgetting and we're not in control of whether we understand something or not, what are you in control of? People say, I understand. What? What'd you do to understand? I don't understand. What did you do to not understand? You just sit there. You're just experiencing not understanding. You're experiencing understanding. The mind goes, I got it. And sometimes you're like, Either one is not you. Why do we keep taking credit for it? And by the way, I don't know if anything I'm saying is true tonight. I'm not here to argue the merits of it. What I'm saying is, don't you think this is a better position to live by to create compassion and forgiveness inside of you? Don't you think if you can see a guy yell at you at work or treat you like shit, that maybe you can go, wow, he's in there, he's not his mind. Maybe I can, you see somebody behave poorly or yelling at you. We all know. Inherently, we understand. There's no yelling. There's no nothing that will fix it. We know. We know this to be true. By the way, if we didn't know this to be true, then when a kid's 5, why don't you just tell them to start making good choices? Just right there. They're 5 years old. Just go, hey, here's the list of the good choices to do. But you know, as a parent, you know what you're doing. You're programming a kid. You're programming a mind. And you know you're programming a mind. Or you would just stop doing it and just say, make good choices now. But you as a parent know you're programming a kid. You know you're doing it. Not a kid, a mind. And you take on that responsibility and you understand that that's what you're doing. You're programming a little mind. And then as a parent, you go, I hope I programmed a good one. Say no to drugs, say no to drugs, say no to drugs. Shit, he's doing drugs. My worst fears. Don't sleep with the boys, don't sleep with the boys, don't sleep. Shit. There we are. Brush your teeth, brush your teeth, brush your teeth. I don't want to. And then they're a human being. We got this other thing. There's pleasure and pain. Guess what the human mind wants? Pleasure. Guess what it doesn't want? Pain. What's pain? Anything that's not pleasure. So you tell a kid to do anything that's not pleasure. What does he say? I don't want to.
No way.
I don't want to. That's pain. So like I said, I'm not here to, but I don't think if addiction is a disease, so is all bad behavior. Now if we could go back and we could really look at why addiction seems to be so much more bad behavior than, let's say, food, well, it's a timeline thing. Imagine if we lived to be 180 and somebody was eating poorly in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. But when they got to be 100, society had to take care of them because they ate poor. And now they're this big, huge, obese person that society has to take care of, and their body is running, but we have to do all these medical things. We would be more angry, but addiction, see, the consequences are swift and they're right here. And our timeline of our life fits the thing that, we think addiction is a worse behavior. Is it? We don't know. But it seems like it is because of this. Maybe if we lived to be 180, we'd be like praising addiction because we'd end up killing some people off because we got too many people in the world. Well, eating poorly, we'd be like, oh, that one sucks. You're eating up all the, whatever. So I don't know what bad behavior that you do or that you can't stop or, but maybe you can see that you went through these stages of change in your life. That at no change did you just cut it off and start doing differently. That everything that you did that behaved poorly, you slowly snuffed out like a wildfire. Every single bad behavior kind of evolved. And you got to the place where it kind of just burnt out. The embers burnt out. Why do we see all kinds of married couples in their early 50s now walking, eating right? Why is it that age? You don't really see the 30s couples, they might go to the gym because they're going to the gym. They want their bodies to be great. But you don't see the real dedication to health and fitness until people are in their 50s. Really. Couples.
Closer to death.
Yeah. Now they're like, whoa.
Some health
They
problems.
went, and they go, wow, in our 20s and 30s, we ate like shit. We drank too much. We smoked too much. We partied too much. Now we don't do that because of all the consequences. All right. So, it's just kind of a way to look at it. People aren't their mind. Tonight I'm teaching to your mind with the hope that you get to experience an improved mind because of this. But if you don't, there's nothing you did, or there's nothing, if you don't use tonight, well, your mind didn't pick it up. What can we do? Be like the person that's on the airplane holding the handrails, think it's going to start the hand rest, hoping you're going to stop the airplane from going down. You're not in control.
Or the passenger that's stomping on the
Yeah, on the foot brake. So right now, make your mind understand something. Come on. Make your mind not forget. Don't forget anymore. Don't forget anymore. You ever do that thing? You remember a phone number? 564. You got to have the same cadence with the phone number. We have the phone number cadence. What happens if somebody gives you the phone number not in the cadence?
Don't know.
You'll never remember it. 85429.
I'll say it right.
Whoa. 8545. Whoa. What? Do the cadence, dude. Ba-ba-ba. Ba-ba. Ba-ba. It's the only way to say it. Somebody says it another way, you're like, what?
Just straight numbers.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
No, dude, you got to do it like this.
So true.
Yeah. It's the cadence, dude. Yeah. Yeah. The social security number. Bump, bump, bump. Bump, bump.
Yeah.
Bump, 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 bump. Yeah. Yeah.
Need the space.
Yeah. You got to have space.
You gotta have space.
Yeah. Killing me, man. Address. Every one of them has the, and then there's some weird number that doesn't have a cadence, so you can't remember it. It's like, there's no cadence. How do I even, what am I supposed to remember? My Comcast account number?
Yeah.
It's 12 numbers. I don't even have a cadence for that.
Or like your bank's routing number.
Yes, thanks, right? Nobody remembers that shit.
No, the worst was the Wi-Fi password on the back of the phone.
Oh my God.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those
Yeah.
are brutal.
Those are brutal.
Yeah, those are brutal.
Okay.
All right, let's open it up.
I know a lot
All
of
right.
people went through a lot this week.
I didn't hear that. What was that?
So we had a healthy dose of bad choices this week. Really. And the only antidote to that is a healthy dose of forgiveness and a healthy dose of compassion. Not in the way that we want to allow bad choices. We don't. But we understand there's not much to do about that. Dave and Pam.
Yes, let's
I
go.
want to thank really quickly too, just so you guys know, Judith brought over a check today for the fundraiser. So thank you, Judith. And that definitely, her check of $500 definitely pushed us over whatever thing that you guys,
Nice.
yeah. So she brought it directly to us. So thank you, Judith.
Thank you, Judith.
Brought two great things to the house recently. She brought a check, and then she brought the best apples
Apples.
we've ever had.
The best apples in the world.
Great apples.
They were so good. We need more of those. I'm dreaming about those apples. Okay, so Dave and Pam raised their hand. Let me, before you speak, Pam, let me explain to everybody so everybody can start getting in line. Anybody who has a comment, a question, anything, we want to hear from you. And so you just use the raise your hand feature like Dave and Pam did, and you'll get in line and we'll get you next. So, hi, Dave and Pam.
Hi.
I forgot what we were going to talk about now.
I don't know. I guess the thing that was on my mind was I see it as recognizing all of the negative aspects of the drugs and that, and how do we get past just the recognition to embracing what we have to do to continue doing the right things? It's easy to, this falling back into the trap, and just like you said very well tonight about, well, I can just try a little.
Yeah.
How do we embrace not? It's kind of. I keep going back to Flip Wilson and the old devil made me do it.
Well, are you using drugs again, Dave?
Uh-huh.
Have you been getting high this week?
I know. Either that or we're going to go back to beer and wine.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about somebody else's mind, and we're talking about their mind still be able to rationalize drug use. So the only thing that we can do as people that surround that mind is one, so we don't burn up inside with resentment. We can kind of separate out the human that's having the experience with the mind that's causing the experience. And that will give us a little forgiveness. And then we can hopefully surround them with the proper behavior that would give them the consequences necessary. Without this, and that's all we can do. You just begin to, pluck resources and things, and that's our only mode so far. I don't know a better way. People say, you all know, you're on here, and I bet that it would be, if somebody told you that the answer to addiction was love, and that you just didn't love enough, and that was somehow the problem. And that's this flippant thing that everyone says, that the answer to addiction is that the family loves the person, or that the person experiences more love and they won't be an addict. In my opinion, it's just not true. I've seen families love to no end, and I see the person still using drugs. So I don't understand what they're saying. And it's very, almost very insulting to families of drug addicts, because you're telling families of drug addicts that somehow they need to become more loving. They're not loving enough. They've done something, and it's complete insanity. In fact, it's not. It's that the human being hasn't suffered enough from drugs.
I was just going to say that's like when people always would say, you'd have to hit a rock bottom before you were able to.
There is no rock bottom.
Right, and that's exactly it. It's like, how many times can the mind hit a rock bottom?
Yeah.
I don't think there is even a rock bottom, you know what I mean, at all. I think
no. Well, it's just different for everyone.
It has to be, exactly. The consequences have to be, in my opinion, have to be so severe that it pushes the mind to not ever want to do drugs again.
That's right.
And that's
seems that way.
And that's what
that's what we hope anyway.
That's how it was. And that's how it was for me. For me, it was. I still had my family or whatever, but I was to the point where, I really didn't have. I didn't have anything left. I'd already lost everything that I had, and that, I guess, is a rock bottom. But it's I'd faced those consequences so many times.
Yeah.
In life, it's like I can't afford, or I can't put myself through these same consequences again.
Yeah, it's not worth it anymore. Yeah, but again, everyone's on here wondering when their loved one is going to get to this point. And the point is that many human beings don't ever get to that point. The story of addiction is not a great one. There isn't like the story of addiction many times goes like this. This human person came on, got addicted to drugs, and died. This human got addicted to drugs and went homeless and never saw their family again. This human being got addicted to drugs and ended up in Western State. On and on and on.
Prison the rest of the
Yeah, so there's not just this automatic somebody's gonna, they became a drug addict, then they hit bottom and they got sober. It's not work, it doesn't work that way. And you all should be very leery of that. Yeah.
So and then a couple things that Dave said that made me think about, he said, okay, so he mentioned, fall back into this trap. Well, the problem is that there hasn't been getting out of the trap yet. You know what I mean? It's in order to find yourself at the position to where you're no longer falling back in this trap. You have evolved into this lifestyle in which drug use is no longer happening.
Yeah,
it's an evolution. So yes, rock bottom happens, but it's not just
that. Like I said, people get to this preparatory stage of change.
Yeah,
people arrive at preparation, and then there's one or two directions people go. People move into action and have a program against drug use and addiction that will be an action program, and they can distinctly tell you what they do in that action. Consider it like weight loss. Somebody could get into the preparatory stage and say, I have to lose weight. Now, they either go to the gym, begin to eat right and work out, or they fall back into rationalization. They fall back into rationalizing eating poor food again, and by the way, they can actually get into action sometimes, stay into action for a little while, and then fall back into contemplation.
Yeah.
You see? And then some people get into action and the mind then gets into maintenance with weight loss, with drug addiction, with any gambling addiction, with shopping, with anything. I had an addiction to shopping, for instance, and then now this is what I do to not have that. This is the action, because I got to a place where I want to change and preparatory. And that's the thing, is we have a lot of people in this program and in every program. A lot of people in weight loss programs. Andrew, you mute them. I can't really, but a lot of people in programs that don't reach action. Some of you are sitting here tonight, and you can't tell me what your action is. You can't tell me what you now do that was different from what, and all you've done is remove drug use. So you're sitting here tonight, and all you've done is remove drug use. Not going to work. Never going to work, because you're not in action. Just like somebody who just says, I need to lose weight, and then does nothing. Not going to work. You're going to fall back into rationalization. So those of you who have not done a program of action have gotten to a point where you started rationalizing alcohol use or drug use, started saying it was okay, and began to fall all the way back into active addiction. So it's on, as us. The point of tonight's lesson is not telling you what to do. The point of tonight's lesson is relief. It's relief.
Would you say that people that are coming to group and solutions group, and they're trying and failing, are they still in action, even if they come back?
Well, there's a difference between being in action and trying and failing, and going through the motions of being in action and trying and failing. And that's for an individual to understand. You might be here tonight completely lying to yourself, and you might be here just making it look like, I can go to the gym and walk around and look at the women and say I went to the gym. Really, walk around, look at the women, jump on the treadmill for 5 minutes. But I don't really think inside that's going to do anything. But what it's going to do is make my significant other think I went to the gym. And then I can tell people at work I go to the gym. And I've seen recently a lot of people are more worried with what their life looks like than how their life is. I'm really highly concerned with what my life looks like, not how it is. We've had people overdose and almost die, but they're more concerned with getting caught. And they say they were very scared to get caught, but we have almost nobody that says, I'm very scared to OD again.
Mm-hmm.
They would rather OD than get caught using drugs. Getting caught is about what it looks like. Dying is what it is. And people seem to be, a lot of the time, more concerned with making things look like you got it together rather than having it together. And so when you get true recovery or you're making an action state of change, you know why you're here.
And it shows.
Yeah, you know why you're here. You're here to get something. You're here for your mind to absorb because you want your mind to be better. So you're here to soak it up. But you come here, people come here that aren't doing that. They come here almost resistant. They're resistant. I got to be here. This sucks. Going to make it look like I care. Can't wait to get some money and get some drugs. Like that. And somebody that's here for change and somebody that's here to get through it, there's a distinction. We know it.
And you can see it.
We can see it. We can see it. Sometimes we're fooled, but for the most part, we can see. I always like that guy that at the gym, when you go to the gym, you see my favorite person at the gym is not the bouncy 24-year-old girl bouncing around, in the yoga pants. I can't stand her. She's already got a great body. And I'm thinking, why the hell are you there? She's like, I love going to the gym. I don't like anyone that loves going to the gym. I don't like it. What I like is like the 60-year-old man in the gray sweatsuit with the big pit rings and the headband on, and he's just drenched in sweat on the treadmill. That's my guy. He's there because he's got to goddamn be there. And, he wants to live another day, and he's telling the truth of why he's there. That's my guy, I'm like, dude, me and you, bud. Me and you. But the guy looking in the mirror, flexing, it's already got the toned body and the six-pack. He can fuck off.
So, the course of action when you talk about that's all dependent on each individual person, then, right?
Yeah. I mean, your action.
I was going to ask, like, what would a course of action look like?
Well, listen, I truly believe this, and I've said this over and over. If somebody was so dedicated to change, somebody that said, I can never use drugs again, therefore, what I must do for myself is I must be in Seattle at 9 a.m. every day and ride the Ferris wheel. I would actually believe that could work. They go there and they're dedicated to riding the Ferris wheel, and they believe inside that is their action to not use drugs again. That's their accountability. That's what they do. I believe you can teach anyone that would work. So what's more important to me? Well, I can't do drugs because I got to be at the Ferris wheel tomorrow at 9 a.m. Going to ride that thing and contemplate my life and think about how I can be a better person. And I'm going to do that. Is that different than a meeting? I don't see it, And so, but then that person would tell their story and go, I used to use drugs every day. Now I use the Ferris wheel. And I do that every day. And that would be, you couldn't deny it.
It'd be legit.
It'd be legit. And after a year, he would say he does that every day and he would recommend it to others. Would that work for others? I don't think so. Maybe, might. But others would have to believe in it the way he believes in it.
Yeah.
Whatever people do to change when it pertains to addiction, they goddamn believe it. I'll tell you that. Whether they go to a meeting every day, they find Jesus Christ, they ride the Ferris wheel, they work out, they work, whatever it is, you'll hear them tell the story of what their action was and they'll believe it. Just the same as people that have got fit and everyone has a different weight loss plan and everyone has a different eating plan and they believe it. Everyone has a different workout regimen and everyone has their own deal. People quit smoking. Think about how many different ways people have quit smoking. I chew gum, sit on my hands. I do this instead of that. I did the nicotine patch. My wife got so mad at me, I couldn't do it, whatever it is. But all people that have quit smoking and all people that have quit drugs have got to the preparatory stage and then did some action. And you believe in that action. So if you're sitting here tonight and you're an addict and you don't believe in the action that you're doing, well, you're not going to make it. Sherry.
Hey. So in the stages of change, so I have like all of my stages, the stage of change written down. It looks like you move throughout those stages, and it seems like it's the consequences. So if you are, it's like you get into the consequence place and you're like, yeah, I don't like the consequence here, so I'm going to move to a different stage. Is it the results and intention that you observe it, or is it just like okay, if I stay out until 3 o'clock in the morning doing karaoke with friends, it's going to hurt the next day, right? Is it the results that tell you to move to that from preparation to action?
Well, this is the mystery of the thing. It's different for everyone, isn't it? I mean, it's just different. For you, I remember I loved pain pills. And when I took them, man, they felt so good. And I never had any consequences at the beginning of taking them. I just took them and I loved them. And then I remember I gave them to the girlfriend I had at the time. I gave her one and she began to get a migraine headache and puke. And she never, and I couldn't imagine as a human being how she could turn them down. I just couldn't imagine it. I was like, when she told me she didn't like pain pills, I was like, you just haven't given it enough tries. You got to work harder at this.
Yeah, how's that possible?
But when people told me they didn't like crack cocaine, I was like, you haven't really done it. Like, you're lying. It's just too good, and I didn't understand it. And that's because our consequences and the way our body reacts and our experience is different for everyone. I smoke a cigarette. When I go to smoke a cigarette, I start just coughing and then I had this lady that I bought the treatment center. Her name was Cindy Brown, dude. And I talk about people that only buy their last pack. Cindy Brown had smoked for 30 years at this point, and she was still in pre-contemplation with smoking. I mean, she loved it. She lived for it. She was like a 65-year-old woman that loved to smoke. Her face had kind of gotten leathery. She had that leathery look. And she had a brand new car, always driving a brand new Mustang, brand new Camaro. Her ashtray looked like it was sprouting. Yeah. It was just boom. And then in her back seat, she always had 2 full cartons, and then she would smoke and she would just have that love affair. She would just be outside. It was the best part of her day. I always wondered, how could she smoke for 30 years and never move to contemplation? Never even consider that it was bad. And now I see people that are overweight and just pounding down cheeseburgers. And I'm like, wow, how are they not in contemplation yet? I wish my mind could do that right now. So it's different for everyone. And I will just say, as you move through these, by the way, they're not fluid. So it's not like you move to the one and you don't go back to the other one. What I can say is once you go to contemplation, you will never go back to pre-contemplation. You won't go back. You will never be able to eat chocolate cake or pudding or any of those things with complete abandonment like you did before. Yeah. You will never be able to, if you drink alcohol and have suffered consequences, it'll always be in the back of your mind when you're drinking. If you just won't be able to go back to pre-contemplation. And that sucks for all of us because we remember the times. I remember the times using drugs where I went, never going to change. This is too good to be true. I can take this and feel this way. Why would anyone stop? No way am I stopping. People that stop using drugs are just stupid. I thought that way. So yeah, it's so different. That's what we're all sitting here baffled.
Yeah.
That's why we are baffled all the time, because we relate our experience to somebody else's and we go, how could they keep doing that after that? You can't believe it. You just go, no way, because their mind has that ability to rationalize that bad behavior and yours doesn't. So you get astounded.
And that's like what you were talking about somebody just pretty much flatlining and then 2 days later going right back and doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you just got Narcan.
Yes.
You just got out of the ambulance and now you're back on the streets sticking another needle in your arm 15 hours later.
And that has to be suspicious to people.
Right.
That has to be suspicious that people are that their mind is out of control.
Right.
That has to be very suspicious that somebody could literally face death and wake up and do the same behavior again.
2 days later.
There has to be some suspicious that would lead you to some
Well, then
compassion
cry
for that
about
person.
it.
Same amount.
But cry about it
Yeah,
and say it terrifies you and then just go out and eat something.
that's right.
It's fine about it.
That's right.
Hey, so
All
I
right.
wanted to take a minute before you close up, Art, to talk about group coaching. Super excited that we are going to open that back up. We haven't had group coaching since prior to COVID. It really requires an in-person, and Zoom just isn't the right outlet for it. So we haven't for a long time. But for those of you who are not familiar with group coaching, we used, I don't know, did we do it like twice a month or something like that? It's a limited number of people, and it's something that you register for. And it's one of my favorite things that we've ever done as a group. Art just has this ability, as you all get to see when people have coaching moments and whatnot. He just really has this ability to be able to peel through the layers for an individual, for a couple, whatever it might be, and really get to the root and the heart of the matter. And individual coaching, private coaching, group coaching, it is a powerful deal. And what I like so much about the group coaching is that you actually learn so much through watching other people being coached. The people being coached in the moment, actually, it takes time to really get it. But watching other couples or individuals being coached, you learn so much. So I actually asked Bill and Becky, because they were involved in private coaching and group coaching for a while. And so I kind of asked them to share just a little bit about what their experience with group coaching is, since we haven't had it in a long time. And there's a lot of new people on that don't even know about it. So Bill and Becky, you want to share a little bit about your experience with that?
We had a lot of layers. We're like an onion. We needed lots of coaching. Anyway, I'm going to let Bill talk about that.
She's upset. We just got some news about a friend. So she's kind of upset.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So part of it's what Angie already mentioned, the ability to see your own faults objectively when they're directed at someone else. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just what Art's talking about right now. Your mind, yourself. You can't see yourself, but you can see the results of yourself. You can see the manifestations of it. And it's really easy to see when it's in someone else. So this ability to share, we start to see what our roles are and all these issues with our kids or siblings or whatever. And part of the other thing I really got out of it was the sense of community and the ability to share that we weren't able to do necessarily with even our best friends, because they weren't going through it. Mm-hmm. And some of these feelings are so raw, and they kind of turn their head like a puppy looking at you like, well, why don't you just fix it? And they didn't really understand where we were coming from. So this ability to share that with others that are going through it, and there's a closeness that comes from that. You might not be friends when you start, but a lot of times you become being very good friends, because you're able to have a connection that you can't have with other people that you might be seeing every day. So. And then the other thing that I got is I'm a pretty private person, and sharing things like that with strangers is difficult. And there's a lot of, you become very humble, and you get a real sense of humility from that sharing that you do with other people. And if you can be humble, then maybe you can be helped. And if you're not, then good luck to you if you can't. So anyway, those are just my feelings on group. We attended group just about as many times as it was offered. So I encourage people that have been involved with Battlefield, for a while to go to group, and certainly for the people that are new to Battlefield to go to group. You're going to get a lot out of it. I'm going to go when it's offered. So even if you don't want me there.
Can't wait to see you guys in person.
Yeah, unless the door is locked before we get there. But Art, that talk that's one of my favorite discussions. Well, we've had that talk before, and that's one of my favorite.
About what?
What do you talk about tonight?
Oh, yes, I agree.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry you've gotten bad news. Let me just, the Wiggins are really going through it right now. Not only has Bill's mom passed away recently, now a very dear friend of theirs has been very sick and really going through it. And I just want to thank you guys for just always stepping up and being here, because I know it's a really tough time right now. So my heart goes out to you, Becky and Bill. But I can feel you right now, Becky. So thank you for what you do, and thank you for stepping up and being here. All right, so group coaching, I will send out the registration details by the end of the week. It's going to be on February 23rd. It's a Wednesday night. It's going to be in person, and again, it is a limited number of people, and so it's first to register, but we'll have others if you don't get in on that one. So I will send those out. If you're not already on the text reminder list, meaning you got a text today reminding you about the solution group tonight. Oops, sorry, let me mute them. If you didn't get a text today reminding you about the group tonight and get a text every Tuesday, then you're not on that text reminder list. So just shoot me a text if you need to be on that list, but I'll be shooting out that information by the end of the week. Get registered. And if you have any questions, more questions about it, just give me a call. I'd love to share more. Okay, Arts, let's wrap it up.
So what it means, in my opinion, to coach somebody or to get to the place where you can help, and it takes a lot, and to get to the place where you can help another human being, I think what ends up happening is we get in a position where you and I, so you and you, meaning me and you, us yous, where the yous get together and we put your mind on trial. And you allow me to put your mind on trial. And this is a position of trust that we can finally get to. If we can get to that place where you trust me enough to critique your mind, or to put your mind and your decisions and your choice, put that stuff on trial, and let's label that the problem in your life. And then let's you look at your mind, and let me look at your mind, and then let's put it on trial and call that the problem. And the way that, if you can get there, that's the most effective thing. But see, part of the problems with this help thing is that your mind might be putting me on trial when I'm trying to teach you. And so that's why people can't help each other, because the mind says, no, my mind's actually better than yours, and here's why. You're not qualified to do this. And so it takes a lot to get to the point of qualification where me and you can work on you or your mind. And that's the position of trust that's most effective. So with group coaching, or with what I'm doing here, and that's for you guys to understand, if you want another human being to help you, that you got to allow for that. You got to allow for me to be my mind to be the problem. And let's look at my mind. Now, your mind isn't going to want to do this. Your mind is going to want to deflect. Your mind is going to want to blame. Your mind is going to want to say, no, that's not true, because your mind wants to look good. It wants to look good. And if it's a problem, it won't feel like it'll hurt for your mind to be the problem. So this is a rare opportunity for people to understand that this thing that we're doing here, I've put my own mind on trial for years. That's what I've done in my life. My mind is always the problem. Always, and I'm convinced of it. I was convinced of it from the day I learned I wasn't my mind. Once I could separate that out and I learned I wasn't my mind, I really got to the problem. But if I believe I am my mind, I have to defend it all the time. I can't learn. because I'm always too busy defending every choice my mind made and justifying myself and telling why it's not my fault. But if I can get up above it and see that I'm not my mind, I can now allow it to be on trial. And we can now get at the issue. Your mind's ability to rationalize bad behavior. That's the issue. If you don't want to behave poorly, your mind would have to stop rationalizing poor behavior. But if tonight you leave here and you can rationalize, you see people rationalize throwing their garbage out of their car and not walking it to the dumpster. You see people rationalize speeding. You see people rationalize all kinds of bad behavior. So just remember, when you're behaving poorly, your mind will be rationalizing. Remember that. It might help. And just take that in and just remember when you're angry with somebody, if you can just remember, if it remembers that they're not their mind, you will forgive. So thank you all. I hope it helped. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, everybody. See you next week. Good night. Good night.